Hunters, we're back with a passive tier list for Moco Chapter 2, and to kick us off, we've got the Auto Zapper. I'm going to put that in C tier because it doesn't get much use, but we've got to remember as well that a lot of new players joining the game will get some more use out of these passives than end-game players that got reset at level 40 at the start of Chapter 2, but it's not totally useless, doesn't do bad damage. I have used it a little bit in Moco Chapter 2, so that's why I'm putting it in C tier. I don't think it's F tier worthy, because you can use it a little bit, I guess. But I'm putting it in C tier for now. As always, might change this tier list towards the end. Have a little play about with it. And then we've got the chickens. And this is one I was actually struggling with. And I'm going to put the chickens in A tier. Solely because one of the best weapons in game now is a speed shot. Obviously, the faster you fire and the more chance you've got of spawning the chickens. And they come in so useful at times. But you do need a high fire weapon to use them. Like the speed shot, Spinsicle, arguably the Techno Fists. So I'm putting them in A tier because they do come in useful. They distract enemies. You can chip away at the enemies with your bone things while they attack the chickens. So I'm putting them in A tier for now. And then the Explodomatic Trigger. Now I might put this in A tier for now as well because it's so useful for a lot of the dojos and things. Obviously you try to clear dojos. A lot of dojos have a lot of enemies clumped together. And you get the additional damage off the Explodomatic Trigger when they detonate. And I think it is a useful gadget. It is quite use case scenario. It's not something you probably use in a lot of the rifts and things. But we'll put it in A tier for now. Might be low A tier. And we've got the Healing Charm. I didn't know what to do with this one because, again, like I said in my previous tier list videos, this is more for a tank player. Obviously, the tank player needs the heals, but we have got the rings as well when we're trying to do the rifts. So is this like an essential? But it is quite useful for the additional heals. So I might just leave that right in the middle of B tier for now. Might actually drop it into C tier. Because like I say, we have got the rings. Well, I don't know. I'll leave it in B tier. See what we end up with at the end of the tier list. Because it might be low B tier, high C tier. And then we've got the snacks. Now I think snacks can go in A tier as well. Maybe above the chickens. Will they get used more than the chickens is the question. Because the fact that it buffs your health, super useful for rifts, super useful for dojos, and super useful for world farming. So it does come in super useful in all aspects of the game. And again, tank players can use this. Non-tank players can use it. I just think it's a good, versatile passive. And then we've got the R&B mixtape. Now, the toss-up is between what's better, the R&B mixtape or the Vampire Tape. Or they're both just as good as each other in their own regard. That is a big question. So I think we're going to have to put that in A tier as well, along with the Vampire Teeth. But which is better? I mean, it's use case scenarios, right, guys? You've got a high fire weapon like the Speed Shot. Vampire Teeth are probably better. Obviously, you're getting more shots off, so healing yourself more. But the R&B mixtape constantly heals you. Heals your friends inside the radius. You can get healed off them. So I think they're more or less just as good as each other. Use case scenario, you would use these passives depending on what builds and what you're running inside of the game. But I think they're quite good. They're quite good passives, you know. I think that they're well-rounded. They do the job well. Certainly use case depending on what build you're running. So I think we'll put them in A tier, and I think they're just as good as each other, to be honest. And then we've got Smelly Socks, which did receive a buff. But I want to put that right in F tier because does anyone use Smelly Socks? And if you do use Smelly Socks, let me know in the comments what you use them for. Again, you've got to be up close to damage enemies, so you're going to have to probably use a melee weapon to get use out of the Smelly Socks, such as the Spinsicle, maybe even a tank player for some things. I don't know. But I just think there's other passives out there that you'd use instead of Smelly Socks. Even if you are rocking the Spinsicle, that'll get you better damage numbers and things. So that's why I'm putting it in F tier. It is a cool passive, but it's just outshone by other passives in the game at the moment. And then we've got the Beam, which is going right in S tier. Super useful passive. Obviously, you've got the passive rings as well now. When you get to Elite Hunter, you've got the Minor and Major one, which can increase the damage of these. And again, if you're using a fast fire weapon like the Speed Shot, which is one of the best weapons in the game, you're going to get nice numbers coming up with the Beam. Such a good passive for damage as well. And along with the Laser, that's going in S tier as well. Is that better than the Beam, guys? Is the question. I really don't know because the Laser gives you good numbers, but it also buffs the damage of pets as well. Procs off the pets, i.e. the turret, which is one of the best gadgets in the game at the moment for damage output. So I really don't know. I think I probably favour the beam on most cases over the laser, but they are, you know, it's close to call between these two, I think. And then we've got the unstable lightning. These three passives are probably the best in the game. They use so much, they're very versatile. I think I'll put the lightning at the top solely because there's so many groups of enemies inside of Moco. You've got a lot of AoE gadgets, i.e. the pepper spray, the snow globe and things, and you can get good numbers with that passive, and the lightning is just so useful. So, I mean, these three, it's close to the call because, you know, they're all awesome in their own regard. But I think I put the lightning at the top, beam, laser. I think we'll maybe leave it like that. But these three, certainly, best passives in my opinion in the game. Probably the most used. Be nice to see the data on that if we could as well. And then we're coming in with the 3 new passives right at the end of this tier list. And we have the Cactus Charm. Now, I think I use the Cactus Charm more than the Auto Zapper, solely because I use it on a Spincicle build just for world farming. And it's not too bad. Obviously, when you've got the passive ring on as well, you're going to get additional damage that's reflected back to the enemies. And it isn't too bad. And, you know, do we do it like this, guys? I think I put it in C tier because I do use it a little bit more than the Auto Zapper. I can see, like, a use case scenario for it a little bit in the game. So that's why I'm putting it in C tier. And then we've got the Gadget Battery, and I'm going to put that in F tier because I just don't know why you'd use this over other passives. You've got it gives you additional damage when you use a gadget. Logically speaking, that would be better used with low cooldown gadgets, and the low cooldown gadgets, probably the Monster Taser, which not many people use to get a benefit off this. And I just think I think the damage numbers, if you test it, will actually be outshone by the Auto Zapper. I think it might be close, guys. You know, I might need to test that in test zone. But that's why, another reason why I've got the Auto Zapper in C tier above the Gadget Battery. I just, you know, I like the concept, but I just don't know. It just doesn't work. Maybe need to buff the damage of it. So if you're using slow cooldown gadgets, it does more damage. So you can pair it with slow cooldown gadgets because the way it is now just really isn't working. And then last but not least, we have the Pocket Airbag. And this is, I'm going to put this low C tier. I know a lot of people hate on this, but I found it a bit useful in some aspects of the game, especially in Chapter 2 for 1 or 2 of the dojos. It has come in useful. The game is riddled with stuns as well in Moco Chapter 2 when you're well farming. So the Pocket Airbag can give you a little bit of respite from the stuns and things. I really think when it breaks, you should get increased movement speed, like a 10%, 10-15% movement speed for a short duration or something, just to make it a little bit better, because it is lacking a little bit. But it's not totally useless in my humble opinion. But I'm going to put it in low C tier. Do I put it above the Auto Zapper? I think I'll maybe put it like that. I think I'll put it above the Auto Zapper. And we'll leave it like that, because I have used it more than the Auto Zapper. I did do one of the Nightmare Dojos using the Pocket Airbag gadget. And I've still got some more Nightmare Dojos to do. So who knows, it might come in helpful with them. But I think that's what I'm going to do. I might bump the chickens up. Is the chickens better than the snacks? No. I think we're going to use them 3 more than the chickens, guys. And then we've got the lasers in S tier. I think I'm happy with that placement. But again, you guys let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Like, I'm always looking forward to reading people's thoughts and opinions on these tier lists. But I think that's what I'm going with. I think that's going to be my passive tier list for Moco Chapter 2 so far. Like I said with the other tier lists, I might do another one at the end of the season, just to see how right we were, because things do change over time. I don't like jumping the gun too much, because there's a lot of cases where we were actually wrong and something was really awesome, especially with the weapons. You know, I'm still holding out hope for that poison bow. I still think it can be a good weapon. But that's my tier list for the passives. That's what I'm going for. Like I said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. We'll catch you hunters in the next video.